Are we live? Hi. Welcome to the second episode of Behind the Geek Initiative. I'm Harry. For those of you that don't know me, I am the guy who does all the tech and the audio stuff for the Geek Initiative mainstream. And we're doing a little behind-the-scenes interview with some of the players and other members of our team. So with me today, I've got Adrian, who plays Magnus.
Hello there. How you all doing?
Right. So, just a couple of questions. Nice little bit about yourself to just,
Yeah, sure. I'm an IT guy. I've been working in IT 25-ish years now. I'm getting on, as you can tell from the beard. Just kind of loving life, really. Just trying to. I'm kind of at that. I've got to that age now where my kids are kind of almost grown up, and I'm able to just relax, start doing things where you couldn't do if you had smaller children or if you've got anything else going on in life. My job's such that although I work a lot of hours and some funny hours at times, I'm able to fit a lot of other things in, so it's nice to be able to do things like D&D and have a good bit of fun with that.
Yeah. So, Geek Initiative, as we know, is our lovely little stream that we do every Tuesday.
Yeah.
So what pushed you to join us? What brought you in?
Well, I've been one of the DMs of the store since it opened, and obviously you're one of the players in my campaign, so you know that. I think we've got the longest running campaign in the store. And
the local hobby store, as Mark referred to it.
Yeah, local game store, the LGS. It's a great place, meet loads of nice people, when the idea of the Geek Initiative was being thrown around, I was basically asked, want to be involved? Yeah, why not? Let's do it. And it's nice because I'm generally always DM, so it's actually nice to be a player and develop one character rather than half develop a host of NPCs and stuff.
So cool. Joining up with us sort of pushed you out of being the forever DM.
Yeah, definitely so. And I'm used to kind of coming up with all these different quirky voices and character traits and things for lots of different NPCs, knowing that you've never got to expand them at all, that they're always going to be kind of just scraping the surface with these characters. Whereas, playing Magnus, being able to really get under the hood and he's a bit of a character, isn't he?
Bit of a wild card.
Yeah.
Gives you a chance to let loose.
Yeah, and it's kind of. I like playing him because he comes across very much as the kind of almost a murder hobo wanting to, derail everything, but actually what he's trying to do is efficiently do his job. And unfortunately everybody else keeps stopping him. In his mind, the easiest way to get rid of a problem is to completely and utterly eliminate it. But everybody else wants to negotiate it.
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's fun sort of seeing that, and it's also great fun with the weird thing that seems to have sprung up where when we did the first episode, Magnus just decided to call the barman Steve, and then from there, every single NPC has a new name.
Yeah.
And Isaac's kind of grabbed that and he's run with it. It's good fun.
So, back onto a little bit about you. You mentioned that you've done a lot of DMing. You've been doing it for a while, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So how long have you been involved with D&D as a whole? Like, what's your sort of background in D&D?
I first started playing when Wizards had just changed over from 3 to 3.5. Okay. So the old books that each one looks like a treasure tome. I went from there. I think eventually 4th edition came out, and at that point the group I was in changed to doing Pathfinder because they wanted to basically stick with 3.5. Then kids came along, took quite a break, and then it was lockdown that brought me back to D&D. Some friends of ours in various different households, we started doing a kind of get-together every Saturday night. And we'd have this virtual get-together on Teams, we'd be chatting to each other, and then we started doing pub quizzes. So we'd take turns, each household doing a different pub quiz. But over time, other things come in and the rules were being relaxed a bit, and each household slowly dropped out until there was just 2 lots of us. And it was a couple up north that we've always played loads of games with. We always meet up with them all the time. And they one day were chatting to us and said, "Oh, we've just bought this," and they held up the starter box. D&D, yes, I want to play this one. I want to get back into that. That'd be brilliant. And about a week later, they admitted, having read the rules, they couldn't understand any of it and had no idea what to do, and asked me to be their DM. And at that point, I picked it up, ran with it, and I've then since then DM'd multiple games. Obviously, when I saw that there was going to be this store opening up locally, I got in touch with them, and I was just chatting away with them, and then the next thing I know, I'm being, Dan's asking, "Do you want to be a DM?" I've got a lot of other commitments in my life and things like that. And then it was, "We'll give you food." Yeah, all right, you got me.
Yeah, that works for us.
So
what originally got you into D&D? Like when you first started out?
I was actually a 40k player.
Okay.
And a few towns over, there was like a gaming club. They used to meet in a sports centre.
Okay.
So I decided I'd try it out, took an army to that, played a couple of games, found I wasn't really fitting in amongst a lot of those people, but there was a bunch of them that were playing D&D. And I played, went one week, the guy I was supposed to be playing didn't turn up. So I had I had my army with me and no one to battle. And I just thought, well, I'll go and ask this D&D group if they mind if I just sit and listen. They were fine with it, so I sat there and I thought, actually, this sounds a lot more fun than just playing 40k. So, I had a word with their DM afterwards and said, have you got a space for another player? He let me in, and that's how I got hooked. It was, funny enough, that one was also a rogue. A tiefling rogue, because everybody was saying to me, we need a rogue in the party, and tiefling's the best one to do for it. I had no idea what a tiefling was at the time. I think it was about 6 months later I finally found out what one was. But
Right. So, back to Magnus.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about Magnus. Who is he?
So Magnus is a kobold who, kobolds, in my mind at least, they're not high up on the social ladder. Yeah, you're not exactly going to find a king kobold ruling a city of humans and dwarves and elves. So in my mind, they are the ones that if you're going to get stabbed around a dark corner, there's a high likelihood that a kobold is going to be one of the races that possibly is going to do it to you. And when playing, I kind of thought, I've played humanoids that are all tall. I've never actually played a short character before. So I wonder what it's going to be like. And kobold sprang to mind. And I thought, I don't know many characters that have been kobolds other than people being a bit silly and just going yip yip everywhere, and that's about it. So I thought, I can bring something to it. And then from that I thought, right, well, from the other characters that people were making, there was an opening for a rogue, and I thought, right, yeah, rogue. We need a rogue. We need someone to sneak around, someone who's going to open locks and find the traps and stuff. Although that's not the direction he's headed in eventually, really. But yeah, I thought, well, I've played a rogue like that before. What other types are there? So I'm breaking out all my D&D books. I'm looking through the different kind of subclasses. And I just came across the assassin one in the player's handbook, and I just thought, actually, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
And it kind of all came together in one idea straight away as, well, if you do the assassin one, you could like be the kind of underworld dodgy gangster type. Yeah. So I went for that. And yeah, effectively Magnus was born and just kind of grew from there. He's got his own thieves' cant and stuff that I had discussed with Isaac previously, and we came up with a list of terms and stuff like that, but of course I was the one that wrote it, he didn't, so most of the stuff he hasn't got a clue what I'm saying most of the time, same with most of the players. Yeah. But to me that's actually kind of makes it a bit more fun, because that's kind of how it would be, because they don't understand thieves' cant, so there's a lot of hand signals, there's a lot of terms used, they don't care. It's made it good fun, but yeah, I then kind of tried to bring Magnus to life a bit more and gave him the kind of East London type accent-ish.
I was going to ask about the voice. Where did the voice come from? Because we all know Magnus has this sort of...
Yeah,
it's sort of East London, gruff, isn't it?
East London, you know, it's kind of like any minute now he's going to throw you out the tavern. Yeah. Yeah, it was more just... I think it's kind of almost archetypal, where you kind of think gangster. Where do the, you know, you think of any gangster, you start thinking of Guy Ritchie films and stuff like that, and it's always East End of London. And yeah, so rather than be original on that one, I did just fit into something that I thought people would recognise. And yeah, it's been great fun. It's actually been quite nice seeing in the comments. There's been a few things where people have said how they're loving the voice.
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the comments seem to be picking up on Magnus as a thing. Yeah. And he's quite quickly becoming a fan favourite from what I've been able to see.
I hope so. I mean, it's not that I kind of want all the kind of attention and adoration. It's just it's nice to know that what you've created actually people like it. Yeah. And it's just good fun.
So, without giving away too much, could you give us a sort of insight into Magnus's motivations?
Yeah. So, I don't really want to give too much away of his backstory as such, because I think we may have other plans for that. But ultimately, he doesn't trust people. He's been betrayed in the past, blamed for something that completely wasn't him, and his path of kind of vengeance and revenge is based very much on he will murder his way to the top if he has to. Hence the assassin bit came in, and then he found he was good at it, and with the way that the storyline has now gone at the particular moment, I'm not sure he's actually going to see revenge, unless, of course, can we do spoilers?
We're trying to avoid them.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I'm not sure anything's going to happen yet, but maybe we don't know.
Dodged a bullet there.
Yeah. Would have had to put an embargo on this. So,
as far as the group goes, what do you like about playing with the group?
Yeah, I'm loving the dynamic in the group, because you've got Digby, for example, is just highly eccentric and just comes in with this character, Malcador, that is kind of like you're thinking...
Malcador's marvellous medicants.
Yeah, but you're kind of thinking, There's not a lot behind the eyes going on, but it's just brilliant. It's amazing to watch and to be part of. Then you've got Mark, who's almost a method actor in his characters. When he plays them, he's trying to get right in the head of what would they think, what would they do. Very much like Tracy does, but Tracy is very much a more quieter person. So her character suits her, where she's more in the shadow, in the background of everything. And then you've got Martin's character, who's just getting frustrated all the time because he just wants to get the mission done, and none of us are really letting him. We're kind of, and it's not deliberate. We're not trying to derail Isaac's campaign, but at the risk of saying it's what my character would do, it's kind of, you kind of think, well, you're going up to a building, you know there's bad guys inside you've got to take care of, so what does the assassin do? Well, he's not going to hang around chatting with everybody else. He's going to try and find a way in and just start killing. Unfortunately, everybody else is trying to make plans to work. And I mean, it's great with Malcador because he bursts in, tries to do something, and Digby's always rolling ones. So that goes belly up, and it throws a few twists. And the amount of times already, because what are we, 7 episodes in?
Something like that.
Yeah. Now. And in that, how many times have we split the party? It's just you just don't do it. Yet every episode, I think we've done it.
It sort of makes things interesting. 'Cause you get to see what you wouldn't usually in a normal campaign.
Yeah, definitely.
So you've covered all the other players and what it's like playing with them. What about the DM? Let's talk a bit about Isaac.
Yeah, I mean he's a great guy, a brilliant mind, and very much like me in that he likes to bring a life to his NPCs rather than just being throwaway characters, and they do tend to recur, which is nice. So you go through those. He brings everything into lives that you can imagine, almost having extra players there rather than just Isaac DMing them. He's always fair with the way he does stuff, and he has got a great sense of humour, especially when there's me and Magnus really always making our bad dad type jokes.
And getting your D4 psychic damage.
Yeah. Although, lately I've been lucky on that one. I've got away with a few. So I'm quite pleased with that.
I've been quite annoyed with that because I made a graphic for it and everything. And now it's not. It's been probably three weeks now where I haven't even been able to use that after making it.
Yeah, I think the last person to get it was Malcador.
Yeah.
Which was great. But no, I mean, it's quite nice because obviously we've played some games before we started all this, and in that with Isaac, it was always a case of if other people laughed, it was funny enough that you could get away with it. Whereas Isaac seems to have changed it a little bit lately, where it's more if he laughs, it's okay. Which is actually making it a bit more devastating for all of us players, but it's still brilliant to do it and just throw in these quips.
And we also had sort of, if it makes me audibly groan from the desk.
Yeah, that was thrown in there as well. So it's great, and I mean he's. I think one of the things that makes a great DM is that they're consistent, and he is. He's very consistent with everything, and he's always fair with his rulings.
That was what I was about to go on to next, is what sort of things does Isaac do, or even yourself as a fellow DM, what sort of things do you think are important as a DM? Just as a sort of like,
I think the main thing there,
loose tips for people who are starting to get into DMing and stuff. Yeah,
the main things there are no one expects you to know all the rules. You don't need to. 90% of the rules I haven't got a clue about. I think the main things are a good dynamic between players and the DM is where the players know their character, the players are consistent and the DM are consistent. And I think it's it's not down to the DM to make a fantastic story. I think the DM is just a narrator.
Yeah.
They set the framework, they put the bits in place, but it's up to the players to write that story from there. And I think as long as you're people that get on well with each other and you're all consistent, it will flow and you'll get a great story out of it. And that's one of the great things with Isaac, is that he is consistent with that, and especially with things like his rulings as well. You stick with the consistency, you just keep flowing, and it makes it great fun.
So then, as a player, what sort of, for new players, what would your main bits of advice be? Especially people looking to make a start in D&D, people who haven't played before.
Yeah, I think one of the main things is know your character. Have a background, so that a lot of people don't bother with backgrounds. They just think, I want a really powerful fighter. I just want to go in there and do all the damage, and all the attention is on me. You've got to remember that you can't win D&D. It's like a stage production. You have to understand that everything else is going on around you. So you can't take the limelight. You've got to. There will be times when you will have the limelight, because either the story or the actions you're doing will give you all the attention. But overall, the entire plot, the story, the way everything's running, it should be as a team, including the NPCs that the DM comes up with. So they're all going to be one part of one big team that are playing along, and ultimately, to be able to do that, you need to have a background, so you know how your character would react. Sometimes you can go into really, really deep backgrounds. I've had some players in the past that have given me 5 typed sheets of full backstory, whereas others, they've given me 1 paragraph, and they're quite happy to let me embellish it from there. Either way works, because as a DM you throw different bits in, but give the DM something to work with. If you're going to play just a basic fighter, then create your basic fighter, but give a little backstory. Where did they fight? Where did they serve? Where are they from? What do they like? What don't they like? Just some basic ideas, so that as you're playing, you've got reasons for or not doing or not doing things. It may well be that actually you've decided your character can't swim. They can't swim, they hate water, they hate boats, and from that you can guarantee that the DM is going to make you swim a river or sail a boat or something like that. But that's where the fun comes in, because you can now play your character completely petrified. And it might be that you do it for 2 or 3 sessions, but you've now played your character slightly differently. It keeps everything fresh, it keeps it all fun, and I think that's one of the best bits with D&D, with the roleplay. It's an open book. You come up with the basics, and then just let it grow. Go in the direction it needs to go. Just don't, in your mind, have anything where you're thinking, this is how it must be. Just create a character, little background, know the mechanics of your character, obviously, that's good. And don't try and be clever, don't hold the limelight or anything like that, just play and enjoy.
Nice. Well, that's all the questions I had for today. Before we go to questions from the audience, was there anything you wanted to add, just anything you had to say at all?
Not really, no. I mean, just a big thank you to everybody who's been watching us. That's been great. It's really nice seeing that we're getting some regular followers, we're getting some subscriptions, and people are sticking with us while we go through that difficult technical phase of working out how things work. And it's one thing, for example, with Twitch, it's one way of learning how to put something online, and run it, but then, well, how do you do the audio without it echoing all the time? How do you get rid of reverb? And then your visuals, well, how close do you have the camera? Should you have it far away and zoom in, or close up and then try and be clever so that you can't see each camera? And there's a lot goes on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
If anything, playing D&D is the easy bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great that people have stuck with us, especially since we started on Digby's channel, and we had a lot of subscribers before we even went live on our own channel, and then obviously we made a big whoopsie the first week. We went live on our channel and lost an episode.
It's the lost episode. We won't mention that.
I think we just did.
Yeah.
And all the thing that was just a tick box,
won't we?
We're kind of having that side of things, and then people have stuck with us through that, and we're now starting to get followers on YouTube as well. But then we're trying to work our way through that, and what's the best way of clicking this, settings on there, tags for things, naming stuff.
Yeah.
But we're getting there, we're learning all the time, and it's really nice to see that there's a core bunch of people that are sticking with us, and hopefully the community will grow.
Yeah. Right, so we've got a couple of questions come in from viewers, and I believe a question or two from Dan. So the first question we've got from viewers is, how much to hire Magnus as a party planner?
Do you really want that kind of party?
He does talk about parties a lot.
Yeah. The thing is, though, maybe your kind of party ain't my kind of party.
Nice. 1 second. Next question we've got, which I believe was the one from Dan. We heard last week that Harry dies a lot when you're his DM.
Yeah.
Do you like Harry, or does he not give you a choice?
He doesn't give me a choice. It's true. Harry here as a person, he is very much slightly chaotic in nature, in that if you set a rule, he will push that rule. And if he decides he's playing a chaotic character, it will be truly chaotic. Just trying to think, you had one that...
If I decide.
Well, you had one character who went up against a big bad thing. Everybody went, that's too big, we're running. And he went, no, I can take it.
Well, we'd already killed it once.
Where's everybody gone? He's like, where's everybody gone? Oh, what, I'm dead. Oh.
Yeah.
And then another one is, that's my way home. Runs through a portal to find out that it was Sphere of Annihilation.
Yep.
Trying to remember the last one.
Next one. You know what? I'm starting to think he went through a portal as well.
Yeah, and this is all the same campaign.
Yeah.
Nobody else has died. They've come close,
yeah.
But
it is just me.
Yeah, he's just got a habit of. It's what my character would do. Unfortunately, what your character would do is die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next question we've got, what's something you've struggled with creating in characterising Magnus? Is there anything that you still struggle with, like with the characterisation?
Yeah, there's a few little bits, like for one, creating a rogue, knowing that I've played a rogue and I've played it for about 2.5 years, I didn't want to repeat the same character. So internally I've struggled with that, trying to make sure it's separate. Thankfully I think Magnus is now on his own path, he's taken up his own life now, so that's worked well. And I think sometimes in my head there's a lot of ideas, a lot of silly things to do, a lot of ways we can do stuff as a party, and sometimes I'm very conscious that I need to just shut up and let other people play. And it's actually quite difficult at times, especially when you are quite I know that I can be a bit of a forceful personality in real life, and I think when playing D&D, I try not to.
Yeah.
It works fine when you're DMing because you've got all these NPCs that you can play, and all the players are constantly asking you things. Whereas as a single player, keeping your mouth shut and letting others play, that's probably one of the more difficult parts for me, actually.
Yeah.
But hopefully I'm doing it right. I don't know.
Well, people seem to be enjoying it.
Yeah.
So that's what matters. Yeah. I think that's all we've got for questions from viewers. So I guess we'll bring it to an end here. Thanks for being here with me.
You're welcome. It's been good fun.
Thanks for making the time to come down and have a chat.
No problem.
To the viewers, thanks for joining us today. We should be, I believe, we're here again next week, are we? Yep, so we're here again next week with Tracy. There we go. Just Dan sat behind the camera making a tea at me like this. So yeah, we're back here next week with Tracy, doing the same sort of thing, doing a little back and forth, learning a bit about the characters.
Same geek time, same geek channel.
So also, as usual, we will be back on Tuesday for the next episode of the Geek Initiative. Yeah. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you on Tuesday.
Be good.
Are we clear? Are we? Are we clear, Dan?
Gonna move yet?
Are we clear?